Well, yeah, pinball games are the tits! I love these things. Play, play, play. Play, 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 play. How to play? Whoa.
Right?
Oh, wow. Oh. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's got fucking tilt mechanics, too. Of course it does. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
You're hitting bump instead of flipper.
The perspective's all fucked up.
You can change the camera angle.
There we go. That's more like it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a tall boy, and this is how I see these machines.
So,
some people have nostalgia of being toddlers and playing these things for some reason.
well,
Me, I was a man's.
the angle you were playing it at before was how I'm used to seeing a game, because I don't get to loom over it like like an ent.
See, there are people out there that are like pinball savants. They can actually like aim where their shots go like with real precision to try and get like the weird objectives in these games, like hit a specific flapper to like get certain keys or activate certain things, or like lock in a multi-ball. Like there's actual strategies that they can pursue. It really does take a level of skill that is way beyond me, because I've played the crap out of these games, and I always end up with situations like this.
Are you saying that Deaf Dumb and Blind Kid sure plays a mean pinball?
I'm just saying that there are people out there with almost supernatural skill for this stuff. It just clicks with them. I mean, I'm not the worst at these things, but I'm close to it.
Nah, you're still better than me. I'm the worst. Guess what?
Chicken butt.
There's a pirate one.
Yeah, I was seeing that. I just wanted to give this one because it was like pool hall.
Yeah.
Seems like the kind of place that would have one of these machines. See, the thing is, I don't really like some of the trashier places to like hang out, like, you know, certain bars or pool halls. Not a big fan of pool halls. But for some reason, pizza dives, which are almost identical, they usually got a pool table on them, are totally fine with me. Which one's a pirate one?
The upper left.
Let's give it a go. I could casually play this.
Right?
Nice piratey theme. It ain't Mars Attacks. That just means it seems a little more fair.
Got a bump.
See, that's the thing. I never bump these machines. I know it's supposed to be like a mechanic of it that you like nudge it, but dude, it always struck me as cheating.
Mm-hmm. Well, these things aren't designed to be bumped. Not really. Like, they're so heavy. You have to really, like, put some oomph in it. And it's not fair for people who don't have oomph. I don't have oomph. Arr! No!
You know what I really like? When you set up one of these arcade machines to have no end condition. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Some of those exist.
Well, this is almost as good. You don't have to put quarters in it.
People are always like, modding games is like bad, cheaters. But when you're playing a single player experience, especially if you have no skill. Here's the thing. A lot of people who play video games, they ain't gonna be good at video games no matter how much they play, man. So either you've set up an experience where they're never gonna see like half of your game, or you just let them mod the game so it'll be a little easier for them because they ain't ever gonna see the good stuff because they're not good enough to get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, as a storyteller, I always see that as like a weird thing in video games. Like, these guys will make a really compelling story in their video game. Like, it's really good, but it's behind a skill wall. Like, you have to be X amount of good at video games to be able to read half a book. Exactly. And I always found that to be, like, really weird. So a lot of people actually, like, watch YouTube for certain endings to video games because there's just no fucking way that you're going to get them. Prime example of that, Final Fantasy X-2, or like the second Final Fantasy X game, because it had a sequel. That thing had a special ending, the true ending, which you could only get with 100% completion, which, by the way, was not a stat you could see in-game. The only way to get that was if you had a strategy guide, like if you had a strategy guide, and you did very specific stuff, many of it not terribly intuitive. And the first time that I tried, legitimately tried, the best I could figure, I got 96% completion. I was like, well, shit. And so I tried a second time. Played through this enormous game, like 30 hours of playtime, right? At least. And then I got, to the best of my understanding, 98.6%. At worst. At worst. Because, again, it didn't track it, so I had no idea what I'd actually missed. And it was like, dude, if I tried as hard as I could, painstakingly going over the different parts that were supposed to get me 100%, and even I couldn't get it, then how about your average like person who doesn't have the strategy guide, or like they ain't ever gonna see the true ending of the game. So
It
they
broke
just...
your completionist little heart, huh?
No, my storyteller heart, because the regular ending, if you don't do that, is just all the main characters being like, ha ha ha, we're girls. I mean, it was the girliest game ever.
Which one?
Final Fantasy X-2. Because in the first game, main character guy is revealed to be a completely made-up person invented by ghosts. Like, for real. And he kind of sort of exists as long as people believe in him, especially dead people believe in him, because apparently that affects things in their world. And he sacrificed himself to save the world, but main character girl really liked him. And so a good chunk of the second game is like finding out whether or not you can actually bring him back. And the answer is you can, if you get 100% completion of the game.
Aww.
So I would try, dude. I didn't even like Titus. I just wanted to see the true ending of the freaking game. I played through Final Fantasy X, played through Final Fantasy X-2 twice. I just wanted to see the happy ending, goddammit. And I couldn't get it until I watched it on YouTube 2 years later.
Arr. Well, I am sorry to hear that.
And I'm just saying that if I had Game Shark for my PlayStation 2, and I had like played that game, and I had modded it up, I would have seen the true ending.
They didn't make a Game Shark for PS2,
They did not.
The
Hex code editors, like PlayStation, Sony, they really fought against third-party devices being plugged up to their machines. They used to have like pin boards in the back of their PlayStation 1 that was like really easy access for third-party programs to go in and mess with game code. But they were like really up in arms against that because for some reason. I mean, it's so hard to talk to people about this because there's such a cultural zeitgeist about, like, well, you shouldn't mess with intellectual property, and it's 100% a narrative of these titanic companies. Like, how many people realize that at the dawn of the technical era, like, where computers were first being developed, it was like a big swap meet. Like, people would just go and, like, exchange computer parts, and there'd be all kinds of hobbyists making, like, their custom things. It was like being a ham radio operator.
Yeah, I mean, that's how, like, Microsoft and Apple got started. Is they're a bunch of literal hackers. They just would hack stuff together, and
Steve Jobs was a phone phreaker. He committed actual crimes.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. And then he created this whole cultural thing around his company, Apple, with not being able to modify it. If you've ever wondered why your iPhone or whatever isn't compatible with anything, unless in like extreme circumstances or it runs certain apps like crap, it's because Apple has always had a company policy of having like complete control over the entire experience on their machine, which is so alien to like the way computers were made in the 1980s. Like Bill Gates talked about it too, and it's the reason why a lot of serious users will either use Linux or Windows systems on a PC is because you can do more. You can access the code easier. I mean, they're easier to hack, but you got more versatility in your experience and you can control it better, especially if you know what you're doing. It's like having an Apple is like having a car that's really hard to fix and no hobbyist can possibly touch it.
Well, that's why the right to repair guys are fighting so hard to counteract that, because like right now, if you wanted to try and fix your phone, like, it's basically impossible. Like, you have to go to a third party, and it's like, you should be able to fix your belongings, but these companies want to, like, hold control over every aspect of the user experience to the point where it's, like, not even your things anymore. It's like you're renting it almost.
We're not even going to get into the theories about planned obsolescence, which is likely, but again, you need evidence for those things to not be conspiracy theories. But I'm extending this whole idea of you shouldn't mess with the inner workings of your computer to the thought of video games. Video games are buggy messes, people. I mean, have you ever seen, like, stories about development of any of these games? Shovelware, like what I'm playing right now, something that's, like, relatively easy to program, has mechanics that are, like, 20 years old. Like, old pinball games are really easy to code. Like, they probably smashed this together in a couple months, and it probably didn't take a team of more than, like, 2 or 3 people to do it either.
Yeah.
And even then, I know for a fact that they had to have done shortcodes in the code and stuff that like causes crashes and weirdness, because that's just video games. Like, look at Cyberpunk, man. That thing is still a mess, and it's been out forever, and they worked on that for 10 years. So if you're going to be delivered a player experience like that, are you really thinking in your mind, I should not make this better for myself with mods? Because I think most people would very willingly download a mod if it made that game stable and playable, even if it wasn't made by CD Projekt Red.
Have people been modding Cyberpunk already? Like,
oh yeah, actually, because the source code got leaked. People could do much more than that in the future, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, some people were actually able to like go in and start editing stuff right away, which CD Projekt Red, I heard, was actually upset about. And that's bullshit. You know, there's also companies out there that are just lazy and they depend on the modding community to fix their broken garbage. Bethesda bug. They just release a game that's like 70% done, and they depend.
No. 76% done.
70. Yeah, I see what you did there. And they just depend upon their community to go in and fucking fix their mistakes. And when you hear these modders, like in the forums, when you read the stuff that they say about the mistakes that Bethesda makes, you have to wonder, are they just hiring the most retarded people ever, or do they have just a corporate climate of non-excellence? Because it sure seems like they hire people for inoffensiveness to Todd Howard.
No, I think that they just, they push a lot on their workers. I don't think that it's the individual. That's so weird. I don't think it's the individual artists and programmers' fault. I think it's bad management that they bite off way more than they can actually handle. I think that's what happened to Cyberpunk too, which sucks because The Witcher sounded like it was a great game. People loved it.
That one baffles me because they made The Witcher. They made The Witcher, which was a stable game. It's just really good.
I think the multi-platforming of it was a problem. Like, they really should have picked a couple platforms, just make it good for those, and then you can release it later for other systems. Like, I've not heard of many games where at their release were available on literally like 5 different consoles, 5 different systems, PS4 and 5, Xbox One, and the X. What's the new one called even?
I don't know. I don't care.
And then computers. So,
really, they should have just stuck to what their company originally did and make PC games. The original Witcher, the Witcher 1 PC game. But then they started seeing those dollar signs, and they're like, hey, console users play a lot of video games. Let's make a AAA mainstream game. And then it fucking shot them in the foot. If they had made that game PC only, they could have balanced the shit out of it for any system, any PC. But you know how I know that? Because of The Witcher. Witcher 1 was good on any computer I played it on.
Phew. So what do you think of the pinball games?
Oh, I really suck at these games. But, you know, they're addictive.
They are.
Once upon a time when I worked at a pizzeria, yes, I worked at a pizzeria, they always had pinball machines, and I'd waste a good chunk of what I earned just playing them on my breaks. Because why not?
So Mars Attacks is a pretty good one.
Yeah, but Mars Attacks was a good one, but it's a quarter eater. I rarely got very far in that. But, you know, force of habit. You play it long enough, you start getting to know the machine, and you can, like, play a little bit longer. I was getting to the point where I could actually play for an entire 15-minute break on that thing before I had to, like, really stop. When I was first starting, it was like I got 5 minutes of gameplay with the quarters I set aside, and I'd be like, nope, and I suck, and I can't do anything else for my break. But I got better.
Well, my favorite arcade machines that weren't outright video games were the plushy animal grabby machines, the claw machines.
Okay, those have... okay.
They're a scam, I know.
Well, they are and they aren't. It depends. All right. So when those machines are first installed, like if you happen to know the machine is brand new to a location, it's your best opportunity to actually win something from it because they calibrate the claw inside the machine with sensitivity either high or low to give you odds of winning or losing. And the sensitivity that they set on the claw is pretty dependent upon whether or not they're making a profit off the machine. So when they first put it in a location, they're willing to operate at a loss for, I think, a month or two as they adjust to how good people are at the game and how much they lose. But then after that, they send a technician in to loosen all the tolerances, and then that thing, you're lucky to win anything out of it.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what happened the 2 times that I saw claw grabbers installed at places that I work.
Now, I do like the ones where it's like you put a flat amount in, $5. That's annoying. I don't know why it's doing that.
Because it's like a glitchy thing. It's great.
Walk, 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 walk the plank.
Wop, 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 wop.
That's a
But
sound
yeah,
clip.
like,
But no,
I appreciate the claw machines where it's $5, play till you win.
And yeah, you keep trying. I got this super cute pink whale from one. I loved it. Pink whale.
Yeah, those are the ones that they don't, like, loosen the tolerances on. They give you a fair chance of actually winning something, because they've made their money. They got to set them out. They probably pay, like, less than $1 for those stuffed animals from Taiwan or wherever they manufacture them.
Hell yeah.
They're making bank as soon as they empty the machine. They actually have incentive to empty their machine so that they could put, new toys in there for other suckers. I mean, people to get.
What were your favorite toys from Toys R Us?
Toys R Us?
Yeah, what, like, when
Video games.
when you look
long
back,
shot.
yeah, and think of, when we were a kid and went to Toys R Us, what were the things that you wish you could go back and get?
Well, that's actually a weird thing. Okay, there's 2 individual things, and honestly, I'm an adult. I could go on eBay and get this stuff if I want now.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping me except, mindfulness of just buying junk. But when I was a kid, they always had the gaming systems that I couldn't afford. Like, every console generation as a kid, because your parents aren't the wealthiest, you kind of had to make that choice, which gaming system you wanted. Because you'd either get to pick the Sega or the Nintendo. You get to pick either the PlayStation or the Nintendo. You had to make the choice of one gaming system in a console generation. And if you were lucky, like maybe a year later, you'd get the other one for a birthday or something. So whatever system I didn't get, I would spend like 2 hours in Toys R Us just going and playing games on the system that I didn't have. Like, I remember really fondly playing stuff like Echo the Dolphin on, I think it was the Dreamcast?
No, Echo the Dolphin was Sega.
It was Sega.
Pretty sure.
Sega was the Dreamcast, wasn't
it? Genesis.
Well, no, Echo the Dolphin wasn't on Genesis. Like, the first instance of it, I think. Well, it was cross-generation. I remember that.
I'm pretty sure, because I never had a Dreamcast, and I played Echo.
Anyway, I totally played it at Toys R Us on one of the systems that I didn't own. And then, there were other games that I played there, too. I remember that the first time I played Banjo-Kazooie was at frickin' Toys R Us. First and only time. I never owned a copy of Banjo-Kazooie.
I just never really got into the 3D games. The early 3D games were pretty terrible.
Oh, Spyro the Dragon was so awesome. I was actually lucky because I never had the Spyro the Dragon video game, but I did have a subscription to, oh god, I can't remember what it was. It was the PlayStation Magazine or PlayStation Club. It was a magazine that you got every month that gave you demos to PlayStation games. So you'd actually get PlayStation discs that had demo versions of the games that were coming out. So I had the first level of Spyro on my PlayStation. I just had to play it on the demo disc. I've still got the demo disc lying around somewhere.
Would you try the remaster? Because it looks pretty good.
No, I mean, it was great when I was a kid, but I wouldn't play it again. It's like Twisted Metal.
Oh,
I went back and I played Twisted Metal, and I was like, ugh, I can barely play this. This is really bad. But I played that endlessly when I was a kid against my friends. It was amazing.
It says the first release, let's see, Echo the Dolphin was released for the Genesis. And then they republished it more recently on the Nintendo's Virtual Console. All that stuff.
Huh. I could have sworn that I played it on one of the disc formats.
But there might have been sequels.
Well, my memory's also bad, too. I mean, there was other stuff that I remember. For instance, I remember not Toys R Us, but I remember the KV Toys. I went in, and I played that first Sonic game that was 3D, Sonic 3D or something.
Oh, boy.
You remember the super glitchy one?
I never played it, but I've seen video
it's so
footage.
funny. Because, like, I was used to playing really tight games, like stuff that was actually a really good experience, even in demo mode, stuff like Spyro the Dragon, right?
Yeah.
And then you go and you play like the first level of Sonic 3D. And I remember that I fell out of the map 3 times as I was standing at the stand in KB Toys. And I was just like, oh my god, this game sucks.
No, man, you just found the secret space level.
Of course, the skip through the geometry part.
Geometry
It was
skip.
so bad, man. That was the first level. It was like the demo portion that you could play at KB Toys.
Wow.
And I fucking glitched out of the map 3 times. Oh, it was
That's
beautiful.
funny. That's funny.
I think that was the first time that I played a video game in that kind of situation, where it was like being put on display, like, look at this amazing game, and it was crap. It's not like I hadn't played broken games before, because I remember that I played Nintendo games back in the day when third-party publishers could put out stuff without the Nintendo seal of approval.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had games that were literally broken in the box. I played Godzilla, King of Monsters, like,
Ooh.
legit. And you cannot get past the first, like, 2 levels of that game because it's got broken stuff that you can't beat. However, if you could mod your video games, then maybe you could go in and fix the script and make it so it would actually be playable.
It's almost like you put in the hand of masters who can compensate for the shoddy work of overworked and rushed corporate structures.
You know that meme art where people like would go in with Photoshop and they'll be like, here, let me fix that for you. And they just make it like memeier and funnier. It's like, there you go.
Or like when they fixed Sonic in the trailer, you know, like that original Sonic, and then the internet people in the internet like made their own versions of the Sonic trailer, and like, or yeah, just memes. They put like what Sonic from the games looks like, and it looks so much better. And I think that finally convinced PlayStation, or not PlayStation, but who the hell made the movie even? Sega something.
Sony.
Yeah. They decided, yeah, okay, we'll listen to you guys. Hey, look, that was a case of the internet actually making Hollywood do something right.
Well, right being a relative term. Because keep in mind that the original movie had years of actual rendering, character modeling involved, and so when they set that in, they were able to get that thing almost photorealistic. And then the internet started really ragging on them, and they were like, crap. And so they scrambled to make a fix, and the thing that they ended up with was like a half-baked cookie dough version of 3D graphics.
We
like,
still need to watch it.
As someone who actually does like digital art, I can see that they skimped on the textures, and they did quick rendering.
But it looks like Sonic, so
But it
it's
looks
fine.
like Sonic, so it's better.
Man,
Honestly,
that thing they had before looked like a taxidermy Sonic.
I don't know why certain video like studios or film studios will actually go out of their way to make a 3D character when it looks like it'd be cheaper and everyone would accept it if they just did 2D art, man.
You mean like that Tom and Jerry movie that just came out or is coming out? That new one?
Dude, like you can use digital touch-up with 2D art, and it's much, much, much easier to make a traditional 2D animated film.
Yeah.
I just don't know why they depend on all these 3D graphics things like it's a miracle they'll solve everything.
Oh, it's because people associate 2D animation with kid stuff. Even though Sonic is definitely a kid's movie. They still want to.
They made Who Framed Roger Rabbit with 2D animated
I know.
With 3D touch-up.
One of the best noir
awesome.
movies. Yeah. That's just such a good movie on its own. It doesn't even matter that it's animated. But that's, like, it is important for the story because it's all about tunes. God, that's such a good movie.
It really is. Christopher Lloyd as a villain, top-notch.
Arr. Go check out some of the other pinball games.
But I was having fun with pirates.
Okay.
Mostly I was enjoying the conversation.
Do what you want because a pirate lives free.
Oh.
You are a pirate.
Well, that was fun. Mostly for the conversation.
Yee. That's why I like these sorts of casual games. There's such good background for just chill times.
I mean, I'm not very good at pinball, and I prefer real machines. I used to play... Oh, by the way, that was another one that was up in Toys R Us, was Sonic Pinball. I remember that I played that at Toys R Us as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, there's good games and bad games as far as pinball goes, but nothing can beat a real machine, even if you gotta pump quarters into it.